This is your beloved Minister Austin Smith with ZMR Radio on the Wake Up Call. Wake up. Wake up. It's high time. All right, we do always rise, giving all the kabod and the kabod, which is the glory and the honor to the Most High Yah through his being Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm truly grateful and thankful for another another day, another chance, another opportunity to get right the wrongs of yesterday, another opportunity to come before him, to learn of his words, to learn of his ways, to know what we ought to do, how we ought to walk, that we might receive life. Go ahead and get me Romans chapter 15 and 4. Listen to the book.
For whatever Nikotab before, Nikotab Talamadus, so that through endurance and through the Nakumath of the Ketubim, we might have Tikva.
So the way that we get our hope, the way that we get our encouragement, the way that we get something to be able to overcome obstacles that come against us is based upon looking at what happened before. How do you appreciate the message that he allowed to go forth yesterday? Appreciate all the messages. Truly it's a benefit. And the only way they can really be a benefit is for us to use it, for us to hold on to it and retain the information. We're looking for our sins to be remitted, but we're looking for our Sadiq, our information, his Ruach to be retained in us. And that's what it's all about. It's all about making sure that we hold on to the things that we've heard for the times that we need them. Everything has a value, but the greatest value is when it's really needful. And that's the value that we have to put on the word, is that, it may be something that I just hear right now, but it might just come a day where I'm going to need these words. And by these words, it's going to help me to be able to endure, to be able to go through without quitting, to be able to learn so I can change my state. And for me to have that core, me to have that hope, me to have that encouragement, to know I can overcome whatever it is that comes against me. Preacher said something yesterday. My wife asked me about something. Get me Aleph Malakim. They call it the book of 1 Kings, chapter 12 and verse 1. I remember she said something a couple weeks ago, and she was like, sometimes I might have questions. I try to ask my husband at home, and I was like, that's what the book says. It said, learning aside, she have any questions, let her ask her husband at home. And the way she kind of put out at first, I said, kind of clarify that thing. It looked like, I try to ask my husband at home, but, he don't know. He don't know nothing. I was just like, whew. I'm up there, I'm like, hold on now. Finished all the way out. Like, I asked him questions. He answers. It wasn't that she don't get the answer, it's that she wants the answers immediately. And that's one of the things she talked to me about last night is, feeling kind of, feeling lesser than when you have a situation where a preacher might ask a question, he might teach something, and you can't readily be able to pull the answer, readily be able to retrieve what it is that he's talking about. And the reality of that is, and one of the things I expressed to her is, if you were at that point, then there would be no need for the teacher. If the student knows everything the teacher knows, then I no longer need that class. I have graduated to a higher class. So realistically, even when preachers say something, he might say, tell me how you see it. And you might call that something. And he says how he sees it. And I just want to see how y'all see it. If I saw the same thing he saw when he saw it, then give me the pen. Give me the mic, because I can teach and I can bring forth. And the reality of it is, it's not so much for it to shame you, but it's to be able to show you where you can go with the knowledge. So now every time he takes the information and he gives it to you, now I know it. He knows it, so he was here, but now you know it. So now I come closer and closer to where he is. That's the same thing we have with the word, because whatsoever things are written aforetime, written to teach us, to show us how to be like who? Yahuah and Yahushua. See, y'all, all right, y'all. I'm going to get y'all guys out of here. Y'all hurting me. It was written to show us how to be like who? Yahuah and Yahushua, exactly. So now when we get the information that he has, it allows us to be able to get closer and closer to where he is. Not just to the similitude of being like preacher, but being like the Most High, because he's got all knowledge. He knows all. So every time he allows me to be able to get information, I become like the Most High. That's how we become like him, through information. But go ahead, give me that Aleph Malakim, chapter 12 and verse 1. Listen to the book.
Then Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Yasharal had come to Shechem to make him Malak. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam, the ben of Nebat, and he was yet in Mizraim, Shammah of it, where he had fled from the Pani of Malak Shalomah, and he was Kai in Mizraim. Then they Shalak and Karahim and Jeroboam and all the assembly of Yasharal came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, your Abba made our yoke hard.
They said, your father, he made our yoke hard. And what happened?
You now therefore lighten the hard service of your Abba and his heavy yoke which he put on us.
They said to lighten the heavy load that your father put on us. I laughed, because I remember I said something one time when preacher, he said something like my little finger. But go ahead, listen to the book.
And we shall serve you.
Read it one more time for me.
Yes, sir.
What verse is that?
4.
That's verse 4. Listen to the book.
Your Abba made our yoke hard. You now therefore lighten the hard service of your Abba and his heavy yoke which he put on us, and we shall serve you.
They said, lighten the load. We've been under your father all this time. Oh, he was so heavy upon us. But do this. I know you the Malak now, but do this. Just you know what I'm saying? Just lighten the load on us. And, we'll serve you. And what happened?
Then he said to them, depart for 3 yamim, then return to me. So the arm departed. Malak Rehoboam consulted with the Zakanim who had stood in the Pani of his Abba, Shalomah, while he was still Kai, saying, how do you advise to answer this arm a debar? Then they spoke to him, saying,
Who was it that spoke to him? What verse
Malak Rehoboam consulted with the Zakanim who had stood in the Pani of his Abba, Shalomah, while he was still Kai.
These are the counselors that Shalomah had. The same counselors that the father had, they're now speaking to the Benin, to the son, excuse me. Listen, what they say?
How do you advise to answer this arm a debar? Then they spoke to him, saying, if you shall be a abad to this arm, this yum, and shall serve them and answer them, and speak to Dabarim to them, then they shall be to you abadim for all the yamim.
What verse is that?
7.
Okay.
But he forsook the counsel of the Zakanim which they had given him, and consulted with the young Anashim who had grew up with him, who were standing before him.
Okay, and what they say?
So he said to them, what do you advise? And we shall answer this arm a debar who have spoken to me, saying, lighten some of the yoke which your Abba put on us. The young Anashim who grew up with him spoke to him, saying, thus you shall say to this arm who spoke to you, saying, your Abba made our yoke heavy, but you make it lighter for us. Thus you shall speak to them, my little finger is thicker than my Abba loins. And now my Abba laid a heavy yoke on you, I shall add to your yoke.
And you know something? We said that yesterday. You know what? I don't know why I have to insult my father in order for me to be able to say, hey, I'm going to make your job hard. I'm going to make it hard on you. I don't know why he had to bring a Daddy Johnson into it. But yet and still he did that. But the thing is, even if you go back up and you look at what happened, what was the counsel that he got from the Zakanim? They told him, they said, listen, if you do such and such, you make it light on them. Them people, they'll serve you. Now, and then the young man, what did the young man say? They said, no, make it harder on them. So the thing is that you got to look at it. What did he tell you about the Zakanim that he had went to? He said that they were the same Zakanim that had stood before his father. Yeah. They stood before the face of his father. So based upon the stuff that they had saw aforetime, they were able to give him information and recommendation for a course of behavior. Based upon my experience, based upon the things that I've seen, I can advise you on how to deal with the situation. That's the very exact thing that we get through the word. Based upon these writings being before the Pani of the fathers, they are able to tell us what we ought to do. So every time that we go out and we do something opposite of the world, that's just like us following the counsel of the young man. You know why? Because these are the people that's been with me. These are my homeboys. These are the people that I'm familiar with, as opposed to the people who have true recommendation for a course of behavior. Every time we go out and forsake the writings that were given to us by who? By Yahuah, by the Father. We go out and we do things opposite. What are we expecting to happen? What happened? Let's see what happened when they forsook the counsel of the Zakanim.
And now my Abba laid a heavy yoke on you. I shall add to your yoke. My Abba discipline you with whips, but I shall discipline you with scorpions. Then Jeroboam and all the arm came to Rehoboam on the 3rd yum, as the Malak had spoken, saying, return to me on the 3rd yum. The Malak answered the arm harshly, for he forsook the advice of the Zakanim which they had given him. And he spoke to them according to the advice of the young Anashim, saying, my Abba made your yoke heavy, but I shall add to your yoke. My Abba discipline you with whips, but I shall discipline you with scorpions. So the Malak did not shama to the arm, for the cause was from Yahuah, that he might establish his debar, which Yahuah spoke by the yard of Achiyah, the Shalonite, to Jeroboam, the ben of Nebat. When all Yasharal saw that the Malak did not shama to them, the arm answered the Malak the debar, saying, what portion do we have in Daoud?
They said, what good is it in us even being here? If the only thing that we're going to get is something harsh, something that's against us, something that afflicts us, then what's the purpose of me being here? Let's see. So what did they do?
We have no inheritance in the ben of Yashi.
It's nothing that we can get through this lineage. There's nothing that we can get through this connection. This connection that I have being here with you, that's the same thing that we have when we be with Yahuah. You have a connection as long as I'm with him. But if I'm with him and I get nothing but something that's harsh against me, then why would I be here? I'm only with him based upon me looking at him, lightening my load. Come on.
To your all hell.
Matter of fact, Aki Chris, get me Matthew 11 and 24. Go ahead, Aki Lee.
To your all hell, O Yasharal. Now look after your own Beth Daud. So Yasharal departed to their all hell. But as for the Beni of Yasharal, who Kai in the cities of Yehuda, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then Malach Rehoboam Shalach Adoram, who was over the forced labor, and all Yasharal stoned him with stones that he moot. And Malach Rehoboam made haste to mount his chariot to flee to Jerusalem.
That's good. Aki Chris, go ahead and give me that Matthew chapter 11 at verse 24. Big Lee, hold me. Matter of fact, get me Abarim chapter 12 and 1. Go ahead, Aki Chris. Listen to the book. This is Matthew, they call the book of Matthew, chapter 11 at verse 24. Listen to the book.
But I say to you that it shall be easier for the Arats of Sodom on the Yom of Mashpah than for you. At that time, Yahushua answered and said, I hadayu abi Adon of Shamayim and Arats, that you have hidden these things from those who are the Kagma and Banah, and have revealed them to infants. Yes, Abi, for thus was the Rasan in your Everything has been handed over to me by Abi, and no one recognizes the Ben except the Abba, and no one recognizes the Abba except the Ben, and those whom the Ben desires to reveal him. Turn to me, all who labor and are burdened, and I shall cause you to rest.
He said, do what? Turn to me who?
All who labor and are burdened, and I shall cause you to rest.
So why did the people leave? Because they had so many burdens. Their burdens were so hard. And what did they actually? What did the older men tell them to tell them? Make it lighter on them. You're not gonna believe it. The thing that they had before time was written to teach us. Now you ain't gonna believe it. The reason why Yahushua would tell them this is because guess what would have happened if Yahushua would have told you, I'm not gonna lighten your burden. I'm gonna leave. Why am I gonna come to you if you only gonna make it harder for me? Guess what? Guess what's been heavily laid on me all this time, all the years of my life? The same sin that afflicted my father. I've been falling victim to the sin. The sin just like a yoke upon me. Because whosoever commits sin is the what? It's the servant of sin. So it's almost like sin got a yoke upon me. So now in order for me to go and serve you, what is he going to have to do for me in order for me to stop? He's going to have to take the yoke off of me. He's going to have to lighten the load on me. That's why, give me the Abarim 12 and 1.
Yes, sir.
Listen to the book. The Abarim, they call the book of Hebrews, 12 and 1. Listen.
We too, therefore, seeing that we are surrounded by so gadol a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight.
He said, let us do what?
Lay aside every weight.
Matter of fact, what did he say before that? He said, what did he say? Because we ain't never seen this before.
Seeing that we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses.
He said, seeing that we got so great a cloud of witness. Seeing that we done seen this all before through the writings. Based upon the things that happened before, we got a witness. So I can see what happened when it's heavy on me, and I can see what happened when you make it light on the people. What did he say to do?
Let us lay aside every weight.
He said, lay aside every weight and the what?
And the kata, which does so easily.
So now he's giving us a comparable. He's giving us a chance to be able to realize that guess what? The sin that's been on you so long, it's just like a weight. That's a heavy weight that's been upon you. Now, you know what he told you in the book of Mashali, 14, I think 14th chapter of the book of Mashali. He told you that. What he told you about Sadiq? He told you that Sadiq exalted the nation. But what did he tell you about Qatar? It's a reproach. That thing is heavy upon me. You know why Sadiq would exalt me? Because it's so light on me, I can go higher. I can elevate based upon the weight being off of me. Now, he told you that the sin was a what? He told you that the sin was a reproach. So that's almost like it's holding me back and weighing me down for so long. So now, what was it that Yahushua came in to do? Jump back over to that 11th chapter of the book of Matthew. AJ, what I told you I wasn't going to do today? I told you I wasn't going to preach long. Come on.
Accept upon yourself my yoke and learn of me.
He told you, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. Why?
For I am humble.
Matter of fact, he said, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. Guess what? The sin has already been on me for so long. Why would I want another yoke on me? So now he has to be able to persuade me to be able to understand what's the difference between serving him and serving the one I've been serving all these other years. Right. So now, based upon that knowledge, I'm able to make an informed decision and be able to say, well, let's see, who do I want to rule over me? I only make that decision based upon looking at what I have with one and what I have with the other. Why did they leave? They said, we don't even have no benefit. There's nothing that they were going to inherit. There was nothing they were going to inherit under Yahusha. So they said, we're going to just leave and depart. So based upon us looking at what do we inherit with sin? According to the 6th chapter of the book of Romans, at verse 23, what he told you? The wage of sin was death. So there was nothing that I could benefit from being under sin. Right. As long as the yoke of sin was upon me, I couldn't get anything. It was so heavy on me. Guess how low it's going to take me down? To the grave. To the grave. So in order for me to get out of the grave, what do I need? I needed somebody to come and take that off of me. Take that weight off of me. Also, pick me up, hold me at Romans chapter 15 and verse 1. Matter of fact, go ahead and give me Romans 15 and 1. Matter of fact, why he getting that? Go ahead, Aki Chris. I'll let you keep going. This is back at Matthew chapter 11. Listen.
Accept upon yourself my yoke and learn of me, for I am humble and lowly in Ruach, and you shall find resting Malkum for your Nephash.
He told you to take my yoke upon you, and you're going to find rest. You know how crazy that is? That even through his yoke being upon me, I still get rest. That's the benefit. He's now trying to persuade you to be able to understand. Guess what? Well, one is such hard labor, but if you come under me and you come under my rulership, guess what you'll get? I'll get rest. So now instead of me fleeing because of the hard labor that I have to do under sin, even if you look at this, guess what? Back when they had all these sins they were committing, guess what they had to continuously do? They had to continue to make offerings. I had to continue going out. I'm slaughtering my animals. So now if I don't necessarily have animals of my own, I got to go out and buy it. So this is so much stuff that as long as I'm understanding, I'm losing everything I got. Because every time I commit it, I got to lose something. Every time I go and fornicate, lose something. Every time I go and do anything, I got to lose something. So now I'm looking at, guess what happens as long as I'm under sin? Nothing but losses. This is a hard burden upon me. So now I'm looking for something where, guess what? The things that I have, I can retain. And even better than that, I can get even more. Based upon the weight being taken off of me. Yeah. Based upon me being set free from my sin that's been holding me captive for so long. Come on. Romans chapter 15 and verse 1. Listen to the book.
And we are the strong ones, ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and do not seek pleasure in ourselves. For each one of us seek the pleasure of his rayah for his tool, in order to build him up. For even the Mashiach did not ask the pleasure for himself.
Even the Mashiach didn't seek to please himself, but what did he do?
But as it is Katab, the reproaches of those who reproach you fell on me.
He told, so then that you have to look at, guess how Yahushua was able to take the weight off of us? He put it on himself. That's why he had to nail him up there. He had to put him on the two. That was the burdens, all the sins we had put him upon him. He had now taken on all of our sins and transgressions. He had surely borne them. He was surely carrying all of our sins. He carried the sins of the whole alarm on his back, just so that way he could take the weight off of us. So now we can do what? We can serve him freely. Now I can freely serve him based upon me no longer being held captive to the sin that I had been held captive to for so long.
That's right.
Come on. Jump back over, Aki Chris. Matter of fact, who was reading that Aleph Malakim chapter 12? I will. Give me verse 5. 12 and 5. Listen.
Get back to it. Yes, sir. Then he said to them, depart for 3 Yamim, then return to me. So the departed. Malak Rehoboam consulted with the Zakanim who had stood in the Pani of his Abba Shalomah while he was still Ka'i, saying, how do you advise to answer this a debar?
Matter of fact, could have showed you something different with that, but that'll add too much time on that. But how do you? We'll get there. We'll get there, Yah willing, one day. Go ahead, Aki Lee, but Aki Chris, hold me Yoke chapter 12, verse the last 2 verses. I think it's 29, if I'm not mistaken. 12 and 29, the book of Yoke, they call it the book of John. Go ahead, Aki Lee. Listen.
Then they spoke to him, saying, if you shall be a abad to this this yum, and shall serve them and answer them, and speak to Dabarim to them, then they shall be to you abadim for all the yamin.
For who? How long he said they were going to do it?
And they shall be to you abadim for all the yamin. But he forsook the counsel of the Zakanim, which they had given him, and consulted with the young unashamed who had grew up with him.
That's good. Go ahead and get me that 12th chapter book, Yoke and IQ, Chris. Listen.
You want verse 29 or 49?
What's the last? 49?
49.
49, that's it. 12 and 49.
Yes,
Listen
sir.
to the book.
For I have not spoken from my lob, rather Abi himself who shalak me.
He said, I have not spoken from my lot, but rather who?
Abi himself who shalak me commanded me what to say and what I should speak.
So you ain't gonna believe it. Who was it that told him to tell the people that he was gonna make it lighter for them? The Zakanim. So, and what did the writings tell you to do with the Zakan, with the Zakanim? How did he tell you to treat them? He told you to treat him as the Father. So it's almost like had he just told them the word that he got from the Father, they would have served him forever. So you ain't gonna believe it. Guess what Yahushua told you his words were from? He said these were with the young man that came up with me. I said, forget what my daddy say. I'm gonna tell him what my friends tell me to say. No, I gave you the words of the Father. Let's see, read it again. 12 and 49. Listen to the book.
For I have not spoken from my lob, rather Abi.
He said, I haven't spoken from my lob. You think the Zakanim would have told him to tell him my little finger gonna be bigger than my daddy's loins? No, that's something of your own. Matter of fact, it didn't even tell you that his friends told him to say that. So guess where that would have came from? That came from my own lob. I fade these things from my own lob. I'm the one that want to make it harder on you. Come on.
Abi himself who shalak me commanded me what to say
He
and what I
said, the
should
Father
speak.
that sent me commanded me. I didn't have no choice in the matter. You know why? Because he was my father. And what did he tell the children to do? Obey your fathers. Obey your parents, because this is right. So when my father tells me to do something, that's the command. I got to speak it because he's my father. So every time I do something opposite of what the Father told me to do, I'm forsaking the counsel of the Zakanim. I'm forsaking the counsel of the wise men. And I'm holding on to the things of something else. And the only thing I can do when I hold on to that is I'm losing. Now, that had to happen because the Kitabim had to be fulfilled. But guess what happened? Yahushua had to be able to show us how it really should have went. He had to show us a new and a better way. Because you know what? Really, get me Yeshayahu chapter 9 and verse 6. Let's see why he had to tell them that. Let's see. Yeshayahu, they call it the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 6. Listen to the book.
For a Yalet shall be born to you, to us. A Ben shall be given to us.
I'm gonna give you a Yacht. I'm gonna give you a child. I'm gonna give you a Ben. Let's see. What is it about this son? What is it about this Ben that I'm getting?
And the government shall be on his shoulder.
He said the government was gonna be upon his shoulder, so we knew that he was gonna be a ruler. Okay, what else?
And his Shem shall be Kara, wonderful
Counselor.
mighty all,
The mighty all. The mighty one.
Alam Abba,
Everlasting Father.
Shar of Shalom.
Shar of Shalom.
There shall be no end to the increase of his government.
Guess what? He said that if you would have just made it lighter on them, almost like he'd just been the ruler that gave Shalom. So now he would have been the Shar of Shalom. Then guess what they would have done? They would have served him forever. Now, what did he tell us about this son? What was going to happen with his government, Lee?
There shall be no end to the increase.
The increase of his government was never going to end. You know why? Because I'm constantly making it lighter on you. I came to lighten the load. I came to deliver you. I came to set you free from the thing that's been holding you captive. He said, lay aside every weight and the sin that does so easily hold you back. Guess what? You couldn't do it on your own. Guess how you got into sin? Because of you. You didn't get into sin because of me. You led yourself into sin. So now, only way you can get out is by who?
Him.
By him. By him coming to lighten the load. By him coming to loose you from the thing that's been holding you back. Now he told you the increase of government was going to be no end. You know why? Because I'm the Shar of Shalom. That's what I came to do. Now, had they done that before, then guess what? It would have never been no need for. It would have never been no need for you should have come. But based upon the rent that was made, guess what we needed? We needed somebody to come in and join us back together. We needed somebody to bring us back together. So now it could be what? One fold and one shepherd. Because when they separated, what happened? They went two different ways, so much so that they said, you know what, you ain't got to go back to Yahusha. You can just do it here. Just stay here and do it. So now it separated us from being able to be all together. Now he told you that he would, there'd be no division among you, but that should be what? Perfectly drawn together with what? In order for us to have the same mind, guess what we're going to have? We're going to have the same information. We're going to have the same ruler. We're going to have the same one ruling over us. That's the whole purpose of why Yahushua had to come in and loose us.
Yeah.
So that way we could all give ourselves to him.
Yeah. Good stuff.
it makes so much sense, you know. And I appreciate when preacher said it. Oh boy, we could have went somewhere last night. How do you? And even there, so much stuff kind of make even more sense. Matter of fact, jump back over and get me 12 and 3 of the book of Olive Malachim, 12 and 3. This, I honestly didn't even pay attention to this until he just read it just now. Come on, listen to the book.
Then they shalak and called him and Jeroboam and all the assembly.
Matter of fact, no. He right. Lee, get me Matthew 27.
Yes, sir.
Make it 27, maybe 27:39. We'll find it. Go ahead, Aki, Chris.
Yes, sir. Then they shalak and called him, and Jeroboam and all the assembly of Yasharal came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, Your Abba made our yoke hard. You now, therefore, lighten the hard service of your Abba and his heavy yoke, which he put on us, and we shall serve you. Then he said to them, Depart for 3 yamim.
He said, depart for what?
3 yamim.
He said, depart for 3 yamim. And when you come back, guess what's going to happen after the 3 yamim? I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to let you know exactly what I'm going to tell you after 3 yamim. Now, you ain't going to believe it. Lee, go ahead and get me that Matthew 27:39. Aki, Chris, get me Yahushua chapter 20. Give me 20 and 1. They call it the book of John. Listen to the book.
Those passing by blasphemed him and wagged their heads.
We're going to have to go fast.
Yes, sir.
Get your book and read it with me. Listen to the book.
Yes, sir. And they said, You who would demolish the Hekal and build it in 3 yamim, save your Kai. And if you are the Ben of Elohim, come down from the 2. Likewise, the Rosh Kohanim, which along with the scribes and Zakanim also mocked him and saying, He saved others, but he is not able to save himself. If he is the Malak of Yasharal, let him now come down from the 2.
They said, he really the Malak. Show us you can come down.
Then we shall mourn in him. He trusts in Elohim. Now let him rescue him if he desires him. For he said, I am the Ben of Elohim. Even the robbers who were crucified with him insulted him in a similar way.
Who would have been the rightful Malak of Yasharal before they rent themselves? The Ben of Shalomah. Because I'm the Ben. I'm the Ben. That's why I'll be the rightful Malak. So now, guess what they telling you? He said, you know what? He said he the Malak, right? He said he the Ben of Elohim. Because he the Ben of Elohim, that's why he the Malak. Naturally, the lineage, he followed the rightful lineage. That's why we should be serving him. He gave you 2 choices. You had him or you had who? Barabbas. We had a choice to be able to choose who was going to be put up. He gave us the opportunity to choose who was going to be up above us, who was going to be our Malak. Then when they put him up, they put an accusation over his head and said what? Malak of who? Of the Yahudim. Then they said that he'd be the Malak of Yasharal. You know why? Because I don't put the 2 things back together. I got 1 fold and 1 shepherd. That's not even what I want. Let's keep going.
There was Kashak over all the Arats from the 6th hour to the 9th hour. At about the 9th hour, Yahushua was Sayak in a loud call, Ali, Ali, lama sabachthani, that is, my all, why have you abandoned me? And some unashamed of those standing there shama it and said, He is Kara for Aliyahu. One of them ran quickly and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar. He placed it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. But the other unashamed said, Leave him alone, and we shall see if Aliyahu shall come to save him. And another each took a spear and thrust it through his side, and out came Dam and Ma'in. But Yahushua Sayak again with a loud call, and his Ruach departed. And behold, the curtain of the Hekal was torn from top to bottom in 2 pieces. The Aras quaked, and the sewer were split. The Kubar were open, and many of the Kodashim sleeping in the dusty Adamah were awakened. They came forth from the Kubar after his resurrection and entered to the Kadar city, and they were seen by many.
What verse is that?
53.
53. I was too far up. Go ahead and get me that Yochanan 12 and 1. Excuse me, 20 and 1. Hold me right there. We're gonna read that again. Listen to the book.
And it came to pass on the one of the Shabbats, as it turned toward morning, while it was still dark, Marim Hamagdaleth came to the Kubar and saw and beheld that the Aban was removed from the Kubar. She ran and came to Cuff and to the other Talmudim, whom Yahushua Ahaba, and said to them, Behold, they have taken the Adon from the Kubar, and we do not yada where they have put him.
Matter of fact, that's good right there. This is where we're gonna go. We're short on time, so we're gonna just summarize this whole thing. If you go all the way down, guess what happened when he got back up and he he talked to them. He said, "What manner of communication you walk with one with another, and you're sad? This is a sorrowful heart. You're so sad. What's wrong with you?" They said, "Well, you're not from around here. You don't know the story of Yahushua." He said, and what they tell him? What the date they said that was? They said, and besides all this, it's the third day. So we were coming back to get an answer to see what he was going to tell us. We were coming back to him to see, well, what's the answer from the Malak? Now, guess what happened? Guess how you know what the answer was? Jump back over at that Matthew, Big Lee. What I had you at, 53?
Yes, sir.
Give me 52. Listen to the book.
The Kabar were open, and many of the Kodashim sleeping in the dusty Adamah were awakened. They came forth from the Kabar after his resurrection and entered to the Kadash city, and they were seen by many.
Okay, that's all we need right there. Let's see. How long it took for him to resurrect? 3 days. And how long were they going to wait before they got an answer from him? 3 days. So guess how you knew that he had loosened the weight from them? Because after he got up, guess what he did for them? I let you get up. Guess what? Guess what had been holding you down all before that? Death had been holding you down. Now, how did you get death? Based upon sin. So now, in order for you to truly believe that I can remove sin, I can take away the sin off of you, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to get up. So now, based upon me saying that people got up, because it's nothing for him to do it for himself, because he said he the Malak. So all that meant was that he had the power to deliver himself. Even so much so, they said he saved others. Himself he cannot save, right? They want to see him deliver himself. So now, okay, guess what I do? I deliver me. Now it's easy to say that because, okay, you're the Malak, so, who got control over you? But now my power don't just limit to me saving myself. Guess what else I could do? I can save others. So now you're able to see that, guess what? I took the yoke off of you. Guess what was in front of Yahushua when he was in the grave? Stone. So they were like, well, who going to remove the stone? So the stone was removed for him. So he got up. He got out. Now, guess what he did for you? I removed the stone off of you too. I removed the stone, so now you can get up. So now you got your answer to see what's going to be our state. So now, not only did I know that he was going to be my Malak, but guess what else did I know? I got an inheritance with him. So now because I got an inheritance with him, what am I going to do? I'm going to serve him forever. I'm going to serve him forever because he loosed me. I'm going to serve him forever because he delivered me. That's the whole purpose of why we got the writings. But if I don't have the writings, everything like it happened for no reason. It's like it was just random stuff. But once you be able to get a chance to see how it all fit together, you realize nothing happened by chance. Nothing happened by accident. These were all things that were specifically designed for the Father. That's why he said, what should I say now? Remove me from this hour? This call was I sent. Why? So I can I can bring all the people together. I can join the Matah back together and bring it back to one fold and one shepherd. So he going to save who? He going to save us. But guess what's going to happen to those that's not under his rulership? No inheritance for you. That's why you're going to join. You're going to be in the lake of fire because I'm only saving mine. I'm only saving those that come unto me. So this is what I'm telling you to do. Come unto him, all you that's burdened and heavy laden. All of you that got sin upon you, come unto him. And you know what he'll do? He'll give you rest. Take his yoke upon you and learn of him. So that means I got to come in and get the information. I got to learn of him in order for him to loose me. In order to take his yoke upon me that give me life, I got to take off the one I already got. And the only way to take that off is by getting information. That's how I put them on, through the information. How do you, Yahuah? That's my time.
Yes, sir. Very good.
You listening to Dr. Evie.